On April 14, 2010, a volcano most of the world couldn't pronounce shut down European aviation. Eyjafjallajökull in southern Iceland sent glass-rich ash straight into the jet stream. Within a day, air traffic controllers grounded flights across 20 countries. 10 million travelers were stranded. It wasn't a monstrous eruption by volcanic standards, but its timing, its location, and the ice above it made it Europe's biggest travel crisis since World War II. Eyjafjallajökull is one of Iceland's smaller ice caps, north of the village of Skógar and west of its larger neighbor Fimmvörðuháls. Beneath the ice lies a volcano 1,666 meters high, erupting periodically since the last ice age, in the year 920, again in 1612, and once more between 1821 and 1823. Geologists had another reason to watch closely. Every previous eruption of Eyjafjallajökull had been followed by an eruption of Katla, a far larger volcano next door. When activity began in 2010, Iceland's president warned that the time for Katla to erupt was drawing close, and European authorities needed to start planning for it. The warning signs had built for years. Icelandic scientists recorded a surge in earthquakes around the volcano between 2006 and 2009. Thousands of small tremors clustered deep beneath its eastern flank. By late December 2009, the shaking intensified, and the ground itself began creeping southward as magma pushed up from below. Just before midnight on March 20th, a red glow lit the northern slopes of the Fimmvörðuháls mountain pass. A fissure had torn open about 150 meters long, hurling molten rock 150 meters into the air. Locals watched from a safe distance as fountains of orange fire lit up the Icelandic night. Nearly 500 farmers and their families evacuated overnight, along with 30 school children visiting from England. Flights to Reykjavik were briefly grounded, but this first phase, later called effusive, was gentle by volcanic standards, producing flowing lava rather than towering ash. Tourists soon drove out to watch it, and tour companies began running day trips to the glow. On March 31st, a second fissure opened just 200 meters from the first, feeding fresh lava into a nearby canyon. Scientists studying the site witnessed something never recorded before: the birth of a pseudocrater during a live steam explosion, a rare event caused when lava meets shallow water and detonates from below. The heat had consequences downstream too. In the Glacial River, a monitoring station recorded a sudden temperature spike, 6 degrees Celsius in just 2 hours, the fastest change ever measured there. Nearby, the Hruna River ran as warm as bathwater, evidence that molten rock was cooling in the canyon above. For 2 weeks, the eruption seemed to settle into a rhythm the world could ignore. Then, late on April 13th, the seismographs went wild. A new set of craters tore open beneath the volcano's ice-covered summit caldera. This time, the lava wasn't meeting open air, it was meeting 200 meters of solid glacial ice. When rising magma hit that much ice, meltwater flooded straight back into the eruption. Water flashing to steam multiplied the explosive power many times over. And because the lava cooled so fast on contact, it shattered into billions of microscopic glass shards instead of flowing as liquid rock. Eyjafjallajökull had built itself an ash cannon aimed at the sky. By the morning of April 14th, an ash-laden plume was climbing past 8 kilometers, nearly 9, into the atmosphere. Scientists rated the eruption a 4 on the Volcanic Explosivity Index, 10 to 20 times more powerful than the effusive phase weeks earlier. It ejected roughly 250 million cubic meters of pulverized rock directly beneath the jet stream. That was the twist that turned a mid-sized Icelandic eruption into a continental emergency. The jet stream over Eyjafjallajökull happened to be blowing unusually steady, straight towards southeast Europe. Ash injected into that current didn't scatter and settle. It rode the wind for thousands of kilometers, straight into the busiest airspace on the planet. Within a day, roughly 20 countries closed their airspace to commercial jets, the largest shutdown of European air travel since the Second World War. Airports from Madrid to Moscow sat empty. An estimated 10 million passengers were stranded, some for a week, as the invisible cloud of glass and rock drifted overhead. Volcanic ash isn't like ordinary smoke. It's microscopic glass particles sandblast windscreens, cloud pilots' visibility, and melt inside jet turbines where they can choke an engine mid-flight. No commercial jet was seriously damaged during the shutdown, but several military aircraft that flew through the cloud came back with damaged engines. The disruption echoed far beyond aviation. Cancelled flights stranded performers, delayed shipments, and forced airlines to improvise. Iceland's own flag carrier, Icelandair, looked especially exposed at first, yet it kept operating and later published a detailed account of how it managed the crisis. On the ground in Iceland, the fallout was more literal. Ash blanketed pastures and farms, and tests found fluoride averaging over 100 milligrams per kilogram, enough to poison grazing sheep. Authorities ordered horse owners to shelter their herds indoors, and where the ash turned wet and compacted, farming became impossible for a season. By May 21st, the explosive phase had largely subsided. No fresh lava or ash was being produced. Then, on the evening of June 6th, a small new crater broke open on the volcano's western side, a final flicker that kept scientists watching the seismographs a little longer. The tremors slowly faded through the summer. In October 2010, after 3 months without so much as melted snow on the glacier to suggest heat below, scientists at the University of Iceland officially declared the eruption over, though still geothermally restless and possibly not finished for good. Remarkably, no one died from the eruption itself. People living closest to the volcano reported irritated eyes and airways, and elevated respiratory symptoms persisted for months afterward. But compared to the economic chaos it caused overhead, Eyjafjallajökull's toll on the ground was, in the end, strikingly small. Judged purely by volcanic standards, Eyjafjallajökull was unremarkable. Mount St. Helens in 1980 was more powerful. Pinatubo in 1991, 6 times stronger, cooled the entire planet for years. Eyjafjallajökull never came close to that scale. What made it historic wasn't its size. It was where it stood and which way the wind was blowing. Today, Icelanders sell jewelry made from the very ash that grounded a continent. Tiny vials and pendants of volcanic glass sold as souvenirs. Photographs from Thorsmörk Valley, once buried under grey ash in 2010, now show the landscape green again, a reminder of how quickly the Earth recovers, even when the sky took far longer to clear. The eruption ended, but the warning that came with it never really went away. Eyjafjallajökull's neighbor, Katla, has followed every one of its past eruptions with one of its own. Iceland's scientists are still watching, still measuring the ground, waiting to see whether history repeats itself underneath the ice. Eyjafjallajökull proved that a volcano doesn't need to be enormous to change a continent. It just needs the right ice, the right wind, and the right moment. Katla, sleeping next door, has a track record of following its smaller neighbor's lead. If it wakes, the question won't be whether the skies go quiet again. It'll be for how long.